Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stinchfield. I am celebrating tonight over the past, 14 years, maybe a little less. I have been vowing to never forget Benghazi, when our consulate was attacked by those evil terrorists and the State Department did nothing. They left our men hung out to dry. What you're looking at there is, according to the Justice Department, the mastermind of the Benghazi attack in U.S. custody. President Trump and his team did what no other president could do, and that is hold those responsible for killing 4 American heroes, holding them to account. Zubair al-Bakhouch. That's him. President Trump vowed to never forget. This is Kash Patel, the director of the FBI.
Over the last few days, we were able to successfully execute a foreign transfer of custody, apprehend this individual overseas, and I was there on the airfield at about 1 a.m. this morning, or 2 a.m. this morning, when he landed at one of our airfields and was taken into official custody to face prosecution.
So I'm thrilled that he's arrested. But, you know, in the end, who should really be arrested for this? Hillary Clinton should be arrested. She's the one, I know, her State Department and the CIA gave the stand-down orders that led to Americans being killed when they were ambushed and then left hung out to dry for hours upon hours upon hours. Who will forget this? I hope nobody.
What difference at this point does it make?
That was her talking about Benghazi and who and what was responsible. Well, Pam Bondi had a response to Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton famously once said about Benghazi, "What difference at this point does it make?" Well, it makes a difference to Donald Trump. It makes a difference to those families. And 14 years later, it makes a difference to law enforcement who made the difference in this case.
You know, I'm not here to drop names, but I've become very close with the men, the heroes of Benghazi. They are my friends now, and they are happy that this guy is going to be held to account. It forever changed their lives. There's no doubt about that. Now, this is a huge arrest. Do you think the mainstream media covers it? No. Mainstream media doesn't give President Trump the credit for arresting a terrorist loser like this guy. Instead, they want to focus on this video. I don't know if you saw this. President Trump releases a video on his Truth Social outlet. He basically shares it. It's a post about voting irregularities in the 2020 election. At the end, there's a 2-second clip, a meme. Watch.
A massive spike occurred that favored Joe Biden.
And that's it. Just at the end, Barack Obama and his wife in the jungle. Well, it looked like it was a screen grab or something, and it went to the next thing. I don't know. At first, we thought it was a mistake, but then my producer staff, they're pretty good. What if this wasn't a mistake? What if President Trump knew this would create all this controversy just so people would watch the whole video? Brilliant, really, because nobody would watch it until a story like this comes out. They already call him a racist, so why not just do this? Here's the meat of the video that he released.
5 key states all stopped counting at a certain time in these key battleground states. These were all where the software, Dominion machines, ES&S machines were used, the Smartmatic, the GEMS software. So when the vote stopped counting, and this has been noted in other countries as well, President Trump was significantly ahead. When reporting and counting resumed, there was a massive spike occurred that favored Joe Biden.
This is stuff everybody needs to hear. And like I vowed never to forget Benghazi, I vowed never to forget 2020 until we hold people to account for who stole that election. And just in case you're interested, the video at the end there with Barack and Michelle Obama in monkey costumes, it's from a larger meme where just about every politician is in some kind of outfit. Roll it. Trump as the lion. So, of course, they're calling him a racist. Instead, maybe he's brilliant. Really. Go watch the whole thing of that video. We showed you a lot of it. We're going to give you more on the 2020 election right now, though, by the way. You know, we're going through this grand jury testimony from the investigation into President Trump. We told you about some of the things earlier, thanks to Badlands Media, who uncovered a lot of this stuff. We're now learning about more information that Nathan Wade, you know, the disgraced prosecutor, the boyfriend of Fani Willis, the DA down there in Fulton County, he knew about voting irregularities. His investigation was tasked to investigate this. President Trump couldn't be held on criminal charges if the election was stolen, and yet he never did anything about it. Nothing. How do I know? We have proof of that. Take a look at the grand jury testimony as we go through this. This is with David Perdue, the then senator at the time, and Nathan Wade. Perdue says, well, wait a minute, I'm sorry. This is grand jury. It's supposed to be looking into the 2020 election, ? Yes, says Wade. This grand jury has been impaneled to look at the facts and circumstances related to possible attempts to manipulate the 2020 general elections. Well, Perdue goes on to say, I'll call your attention to several questions. Who gave the directive to shut down the State Farm Arena? Who directed people to run ballots after 10:30 that night with no poll watchers? Who directed those people to run those ballots more than once? Why has no investigation been made? And then Perdue drops this bomb. Has anybody looked into the 17,700 missing ballots just in Fulton County? The reason I read that to you is Wade now has reason to believe that there was fraud going on. At least should be investigated. These are claims, and he does nothing. Well, where did we get all of this grand jury testimony? Who's been uncovering it? I want to bring in writer for the Gateway Pundit and Badlands Media reporter Brian Lupo is with us. Brian, welcome to the program.
Hey, Grant, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So great stuff you uncovered. What's your takeaway, Brian, from all of this?
Well, we never got an investigation into the 2020 election, at least not the way that they told us that we had gotten one. I know you had covered earlier the then director of the GBI that says we're not going to investigate because the governor doesn't want us to investigate. And that is kind of the status quo in Georgia, right? The 17,700 has been part of a complaint that's been before the state election board for almost 3 years now, over 3 years now, going back to 2022. Garland Favorito has had a case before, remanded back down to the lower courts from the Supreme Court, telling him that he is standing for a ballot inspection. The complaint that I talked about earlier had 10 voting tabulators, 10 tabulators that do not exist. There's no chain of, there's no record of them existing in Fulton County. No serial numbers, no open records requests. That accounted for 20,000 votes alone in Fulton County. The 17,000 that Senator Perdue is talking about there is a discrepancy between the count, and this is all through open records requests that a lot of folks have done in Georgia. Kevin Moncla, David Cross, Garland Favorito, Bob Covert, Phil Davis. The 17,000, they gave him a number and said, hey, we've got 511,000. This was on the deadline for certification. And Raffensperger wrote them back and said, no, you got to make it happen. We need 527 is what we're supposed to have. And magically, 527,000 ballots popped in.
It's really unbelievable. And this exchange that you released on Badlands and Gateway Pundit, two great outlets. If you could, guys behind the glass, put up VO18. Because this is the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, the head of it. He's asked about this. And according to David Perdue, Reynolds, the head of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, says, I'm a team player. If the governor doesn't want to investigate, we're not going to investigate. And that, of course, is Governor Kemp, who then went on to appoint that head of GBI to a cushy judge position later on. Brian, how hard was it for you to get this information, this grand jury testimony?
I mean, it's 103 pages, that one alone. And there's going to be much more of this coming out because Judge Scott McAfee, who was the judge that presided over the Trump RICO case, he unsealed these. He lifted the protective order on them. So there's going to be a lot more coming out. But Grant, the real problem with this is, so you mentioned that then GBI director Vic Reynolds got promoted to, or appointed, excuse me, to a Superior Court judge. He's not the only one. There's two other individuals in here, including the judge Scott McAfee that unsealed them, that also was appointed under unusual circumstances. There's a gentleman named Bob Couvert that figured out through open records request that an audit that Brad Raffensperger promised was done in November of 2020. He laid it out. He put out a report and everything. Well, Bob Couvert reached out to all of the counties that allegedly had their machines audited. None of them had any records of them doing an audit. And so Couvert took this to the governor. The governor took it to and said, go to the inspector general. Well, the inspector general at that time was Scott McAfee. And when Couvert presented him with that evidence, he ghosted him. And then shortly after, McAfee was appointed to a judge, and he took it to a district attorney. She was appointed to a Superior Court judge as well.
I would hope that this is all part of the investigation. FBI went in and raided that warehouse down in Fulton County. I hope there'll be some, I call it retribution, and I have no apologies for calling it that. That's what we need with all of this. And Brian Lupo, your work is great. On X, you can find him at CannCon, CANNCON. Buddy, thank you for coming on tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Grant. Appreciate it.
All right. I appreciate it as well, and tremendous work over there. All right. I want to turn out, the deep state, right? What you're talking about with Kemp and Raffensperger and all these folks. This is the deep state. Well, now, Senator Thom Tillis, a Republican, may just squash, at least try, President Trump's appointment to the Federal Reserve chair, this Kevin Warsh. Tillis says he's not going to vote for Warsh to move forward unless the DOJ drops its investigation into Jerome Powell, the current Fed chair. How does Tillis get to even do something like this? Roll Tillis.
With respect to the nomination, this is a binary scenario. When the investigation is done, I will do the introduction for Mr. Warsh on the next chairmanship. Until the investigation is done, I will oppose any board confirmation.
You know what? My patience is totally thin with that guy. You're protecting Jerome Powell. Why? I want to bring in now senior fellow at Unleash Prosperity. EJ Antoni is back with us. EJ, it's great to see you. Welcome.
Well, Grant, thanks for having me again.
So I guess that's the question. Why is Tillis protecting Jerome Powell?
I don't know. Apparently, he thinks he's a mob boss or something, that he gets to make these extrajudicial demands on people. I mean, it really does remind me of that, like a 1930s mob movie about some guy right off the boat from Sicily. And look, I can say this because I'm Italian, okay? But it's like somebody right off the boat from Sicily thinks he can go up to the cops and say, "Hey, look, unless you stop investigating my friend, X, Y, and Z bad things are going to happen for you." I mean, who does this clown think he is? He is yet another example, Grant, of these rhinos, these Republican in name only folks who think that they somehow get to dictate to the rest of the country based on their own like pet projects or their special interests that they're trying to serve, whatever the case may be. This guy doesn't know the first thing about monetary policy, which is probably part of the reason why, to answer your question, he's protecting another clown, Jerome Powell.
Who doesn't know anything about monetary policy, clearly. What kills me is you have these rhinos, as you eloquently spelled it out, that will claim they're all MAGA, and then when it gets down to it, they do everything they can to stand in the way of President Trump. I'll ask you, you've been around government a long time. How do we handle this? Can he hold up this whole thing just by himself?
No, not by himself, Grant. But the question is, essentially, look, the Democrats. Let me first say that the Democrats are going to form a complete block to vote against anybody on the Trump agenda. Period. Doesn't matter who it is. It could be a literal saint. They don't care. They hate Trump so much it doesn't matter. So then the question becomes, okay, how many other Republican senators do you have to worry about defecting in this whole charade, essentially? And if you do get a handful of others, then it will be enough, unfortunately, to derail the nomination. Right now, Doesn't look like that's the case. So let's keep our fingers crossed, because we desperately need monetary reform in this country. And that starts by removing the failure of a chairman we have right now. He's the guy who helped give us 40-year high inflation, the fastest rise in interest rates in just as long, a broken housing market, etc.
Yeah. Well, I know Unleash Prosperity is on it, and so are we. Team Effort, there's a lot of other groups putting and sounding the alarm on this. Not a lot of people are talking about it, but pressure works on these things, on many of these senators. E.J. Antoni, I know you'll keep it up. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me, Grant.
Absolutely. Good to see you, as always. Turning now to California. The Small Business Administration is now claiming they found $8.6 billion in more fraud in California. This is the SBA Director, Kelly Loeffler, who was in California this week.
And just like Minnesota, California is another state whose socialist welfare policies have invited fraud. Well, the buck stops here. We're not looking the other way. We're prosecuting. There's going to be more to come.
Good. This is why we need a fraud czar. The president is talking about appointing someone like that, Tom Homan style, to go in and root out all of this fraud. What do you think California Attorney General Rob Bonta has to say about this? You may have never heard of him unless you live in California. This guy's a radical dope. Here he is.
Trump is out there falsely claiming that California is somehow the problem, baselessly claiming that California programs and public servants are perpetrating fraud, when in reality, we are the victim of fraud.
Give me a freaking break, please. Mr. Attorney General, you should know full well California's not the victim. California is the enabler of all enablers of fraud, and probably have many of those elected leaders taken part in it. I want to bring in now California businessman, now candidate for governor. You remember him over on Fox News. Steve Hilton is with us. Steve, it's good to see you.
I'm just like, what did he just say? Yeah. We're the victims? Yeah. My goodness. Yeah. These people are just unbelievable. The shamelessness, right, of their gaslighting, Newsom, Bonta, all of them. What a joke.
So, Steve, you know that the Trump administration is going to come in, whether it's the SBA, whether it's the FBI, whether it's the IRS, and they're going to want to come into these state agencies and start looking at things and looking at contractors. There is going to be no cooperation from Gavin Newsom and his henchmen there. What happens when you get in as governor?
Well, we already announced it. We announced it last week. Cal DOJ, the California Department of Government Efficiency, and we are already working on a volunteer basis. We had a meeting this morning with the team going through. We have an announcement next week on fraud that we've discovered through Cal DOJ just in the 10 days we've been in operation. We've got fraud investigators. We've got an AI partner that's going through the actual budgets and flagging suspicious activity that we can then follow up on. So you're going to be seeing a lot in the weeks ahead just from us before we're even elected. Once I'm elected governor, and once the team I'm running with is elected governor, that is for Attorney General to replace that dope, as you accurately described him, Michael Gates, who is the city attorney in Huntington Beach, a fantastic fighter. He sued Newsom over housing mandates, voter ID. He's going to be prosecuting. And the key person is someone called Herb Morgan, who's running with me on what we call the golden ticket for our Golden State. He's running for state controller. The state controller has the power to audit and really open the books any organization receiving state money. We made the announcement together along with my lieutenant governor running mate, Gloria Romero. We're going to be all over this, but we're getting to work now. Cal DOJ is actually up and running. As I say, we've got real work going on.
Can you give me an example? Are there some indications of fraud? Where is it that you found?
Yeah, I mean, many. I mean, so do you remember that the origin of this was back in December last year? I set up a tip line, califraud.com, to start getting the information. And the things that have been coming in are just unbelievable. Just one example in terms of the Medicaid, the California version of Medicaid. So we've received information about doctors prescribing Medi-Cal benefits being given to Mexican citizens living in Mexico posing as illegal immigrants in order to benefit from Gavin Newsom's free healthcare for illegal immigrants. They don't even live here. So we now have fake illegal immigrants claiming healthcare benefits paid for by us. It's just unbelievable.
You got a Mexican citizen coming in pretending to be an illegal alien because you're giving benefits to all the illegal aliens in California. This is, the insanity is so crazy. I want to play another clip of insanity for you, though, okay? You know about the high-speed rail, and I'm sure once Cal Doge digs into the high-speed rail, billions of dollars spent like no rail. Well, there's some track laid now. Gavin Newsom said this.
If you want to be big, you got to be big in big things. This is the only high-speed rail system of its type anywhere in the United States of America. You could talk all you want. You guys are actually delivering, making things happen.
So, Steve, what you're looking at, moments after his announcement of the track laid, the track catches on fire. Only in California, Steve, does this happen.
It's amazing. But by the way, there's no track. Okay, so he hasn't laid any tracks. This is like fake tracks on the road. I'm often asked about it on the campaign trail, and it's my favorite joke. I mean, my first joke on this on the bullet train, I can't say on air, I'm afraid. But my sort of follow-up joke is no more good money after bad. We're going to stop this nonsense in its tracks. Except they haven't laid any tracks, so I can't. And he still hasn't laid any tracks, and he's going on about how we're on track to lay tracks.
He's out there standing in front of something, basically claiming so it's not even track that's laid.
No, they haven't laid any. He literally said. There's another quote from that event where he says, "We are on track to lay tracks." I mean, he doesn't even realize how ridiculous he sounds.
Oh, boy, oh, boy. Well, I feel for your sanity out there. The reason we cover these stories, though, Steve, is because we do not forget about our California friends. You guys need so much help out there, and we will not give up on that great state. Steve Hilton, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, man. See you soon.
Absolutely. Let me give you Steve's website. It's stevehiltonforgovernor.com, stevehiltonforgovernor.com. Help him out. All right, international disputes, inflation, rising national debt, digital currency. There is a never-ending list of reasons gold has risen over 700% in the last 20 years, and a never-ending list of reasons smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals with Birch Gold Group. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text America to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. Text America to the number 989898. All right, many on the right are worried President Trump is backing down on immigration enforcement. We talk about it next with Trump 45's CBP commissioner.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through Rav. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
My name is Phoebe, and I live in Florida. I love Real America's Voice. They truly speak for the people, and that's what real patriotism is all about.
Hey guys, my name is Jeff. I'm from Massachusetts. I love Rav because of the free speech and the political wranglings that go on in the chat every day.
Everyone, this mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani, is an absolute ass clown. I'm just going to say it, and I'm going to play the soundbite so you can decide for yourself.
The story of the Hijrah reminds us that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a stranger too, who fled Mecca and was welcomed in Medina. Surah An-Nahl 1642 tells us, "As for those who immigrated in the cause of Allah after being persecuted, we will surely bless them with a good home in this world."
So we're supposed to allow illegal aliens to come into this country, create great crimes against American citizens, drain our resources, and all in the name of Allah? Honestly, ugats to that, but it's not happening, okay? And that's what you get in New York City. And this, you want to talk about making an ICE agent's job difficult? He's out of line here, but listen.
This order is a sweeping reaffirmation of our commitment to our immigrant neighbors and to public safety as a whole. We will make it clear once again that ICE will not be able to enter New York City property without a judicial warrant.
Like, you don't have that right to do that, okay? They're federal agents. They can go wherever they want in this country. Again, he's acting like a communist that closes down walls around his city. You can't move freely. A federal agent of all people can move freely around the country. And now the immigration enforcement are getting this under control, okay? This was Caroline Leavitt at the White House.
Is the president still committed to deportations of the 20 million illegals that came here under Joe Biden, or are you starting to see that back?
Yes, and the president has always been committed to that, John. But we must prioritize, and the prioritization is on those tens of thousands of convicted criminals.
So get the worst of the worst first. We've heard this a lot. I don't mind having ICE agent teams going out and finding the worst of the worst. We want to get them. But do not give up on going and getting people that are just simply here illegally. They broke a law when they crossed into this country. You're going to get a lot more of them out of America if you do that. Enforcement in the workplace, maybe. To discuss all of this, I want to bring in a very dear friend of mine, former U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner under Trump 45. Mark Morgan is with us. Mark, it's great to have you back on the program.
You as well, Grant.
Well, it's been a while. You and I used to ride together a lot, and I'm so happy to have you back. We were talking at length about this. How important is it that we don't just focus on the worst of the worst, Mark?
Yeah, Grant, first of all, your comments are spot on. I think it is important to recap, though, what we saw this first year, what we kind of call phase one. We saw a tremendous amount of resources going after illegal aliens that had committed additional crimes, as you discussed about. And because of the direct action, there are fewer and less criminals among us. Full stop. No one can dispute that. And to some degree, in some level, that's been successful. But we also believe if President Trump is going to be fully successful, and was clearly one of his signature issues, and what I believe is going to be partially define his legacy, we can't just spend the exorbitant amount of resources on a small subset of those that are here illegally. If we're going to close out, if we're going to stomp out once and for all illegal immigration, as you just said, and put integrity back into our immigration laws, we must hold everyone accountable who is violating them. And so that means what we're hoping to see is what we're calling phase two. We're hoping that we're going to see a tremendous amount of resources focused, for example, this is an exhaustive list, but on the 1.5 million illegal aliens that have a final order of removal from a judge, or the hundreds of thousands of visa overstays. And to your point, Grant, we should be aggressively pursuing employers who knowingly and willfully hire illegal aliens.
Right.
Unless we open up that aperture, we're never going to be fully successful as we could be and should be.
All right, let me pull the curtain back a little bit for folks out there. So, Mark, you are part of I'll call it a coalition, I don't know if that's the right word or not, of some of the greatest conservative minds that America has, some of the foremost experts on immigration, and you've all kind of come together to say, hey, this is the best way forward to, I don't know if we cure this problem once and for all. We're always going to have illegal immigration, but the best way to put a dent in it if we go down this road. Am I right on this?
That's exactly right. And what we've collectively agreed is the plan that I just laid out. Look, we understand the first year. We understand the shock and awe. We understand the reason to go after the worst and worst. We all get it. We're all behind that. But that can't be enough. Again, but like even come from the White House, you know, those numbers of criminals, although horrible, right, and horrific, when you looking at a subset of the overall millions and millions of illegal aliens, Grant, that's a small number. And we've seen this in history. When you only focus enforcement actions on a certain demographic of illegal aliens, what's the common sense message you send to the rest of the 80%? Is that you're not a priority for deportation. And so we see that demographic continue to illegally enter. Two things are important real quick, right? So it's accurate to say that under President Trump, we've achieved, once again, the most secure border in our lifetime, but it's also accurate to say it's not fully secure. I mean, we're still seeing 30,000 total nationwide encounters every single month. I think the past year, we've seen about 25,000 plus gotaways. Every category of drug, meth, cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, Caesars are up because the manufacturer is up. So we still have a ways to go. And we cannot only focus on criminals, because then we're sending the message to the rest of the world, if you illegally enter, as long as you don't commit a heinous crime, you're going to be good to go. That can't be the message.
The constitutionalist in me, the law and order guy, says, I can't worry about public relations when I'm enforcing the law. The law is the law. But the realist in me says, all right, you know, we also do have politics and elections to win, and there is a PR game that has to play. And I think there could be a balance here. I'm not sure going around Home Depots is the greatest way to do it. It may be more effective to go onto a giant chicken farm or a horse ranch and ask the employers for all the IDs and do, what do you call it? I don't know, they don't like to call it a raid, but an employer enforcement, and then you hold the employers as well as the illegals accountable.
That's right, Brandon. You and I, this is where you and I have really gotten into our passionate debates. And look, I agree with you. I'm a law and order guy. That's what runs through my veins. I'm not a politician, so sometimes I struggle with that political PR, but you have to acknowledge that it's real. And what I would suggest, if I had 5 minutes with the president, operationally, I would suggest kind of what we're seeing from Tom Holman already in Minneapolis. And that's, let's shore in and let's enhance the cooperation from local law enforcement, especially in the local jails. I say let's go into communities where law enforcement is actually supporting this and increase the task force environment. It's an incredibly positive force multiplier. And as we go forward, we have to make sure that we have the logistical support, whether that's transportation or detention facilities that we go along. And another thing that I would say is that I would, and you've kind of seen it a little bit in Minneapolis, some people are going a little bit nuts about it, but I would cut back on the large scale operations in certain areas, and I would opt to go for smaller scale operations in greater areas of the United States. It's less manpower intensive and less notoriety that goes to your PR political issue.
Yeah. Always great ideas. Former Customs and Border Protection Commissioner under President Trump, first time around. It's great to see you again. It's great having you back on the program. It's been a while. Please don't be a stranger. Keep us posted on all of this. Your insight's fabulous on this. And I tell you that all the time. But great work, and I appreciate you coming on.
You bet. Thanks, Grant.
All right, absolutely. I hope the administration listens to some of that, because there are some things they can do with small little tweaks. And then, man, what does President Trump like to say? Like a rocket ship. It'll take off, and we'll be in great shape. All right, it's Friday, and that means it's time for our body language segment with Greg Hartley. That coming up next. But first, Rav Music's new song is out. The Boss is now available for downloads on iTunes. Check it out.
From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through Rav. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
My name is Phoebe, and I live in Florida. I love Real America's Voice. They truly speak for the people, and that's what real patriotism is all about.
Hey guys, my name is Jeff. I'm from Massachusetts. I love Rav because of the free speech and the political wranglings that go on in the chat every day.
Time now for Body Language, host of the Behavior Panel on YouTube and former military interrogator, body language and behavior expert Greg Hartley is back. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Grant. Always a pleasure.
All right, I wanted to play this for you last week, and we missed our segment, so I'm going to play it this week. Ilhan Omar, the infamous attack with the syringe that they sprayed like apple cider vinegar at her. Let's roll that and get you to comment.
Resign or face impeachment?
All right, Greg, I had said, I don't know, this seems like maybe a setup. You see anything here?
Well, what you don't see is what's more important. In 1872, Darwin wrote a book called The Expression of Emotion in Humans and Animals. And one of the emotions that he talked about was surprise. It was universal across all cultures, so you can't take culture into account. And he said your eyebrows were arched, your eyes were wide open, and your jaw dropped. Any of those things show up in her face here? Do you see it?
Wow.
So for me, when I don't see that, something is missing, and she doesn't shield herself. She doesn't say, what the hell is all over me? There's no panic. She goes out like it just looks awkward.
There's a close-up of her face, I believe, right before it happened. Anything here?
I don't see any surprise, fear, shock.
Yeah.
Any of those things I expect to see. And like I said, there's a guy, a really famous guy named Kuklinski who murdered people for a living, and he poured cyanide in drinks on people and killed them with it. Would you not panic if somebody sprayed you with something you don't know what it is? Never mind the smell and all that. I'm just saying, what do you do?
I promise you, I would. I play cards with a bunch of old guys. They spill their drink. I jump up off the table and I start getting all upset. I can only imagine a stranger. All right, let me move on to the next one. This is President Trump in this NBC interview he did this week. He was asked about this discombobulator weapon, which really seems pretty cool to just like discombobulated all electronics. Yeah. When they went in to get when they went in on that raid. Listen,
you saw this on the video. You could tell.
Tom, it discombobulated everything.
Nothing worked, even including humans.
Well, let's put it this way:
out.
We lost no equipment in a very strong, and they're good fighters, great fighters. In a very bad environment. It was a military base, the biggest in South America, because the house was in a base in in a very, very tough environment. We lost no men and we lost no equipment.
All right, Greg, I can't wait to hear you on this one.
This is one of my favorite Trump moves ever because look at him. He's animated much more than a guy his age you typically would expect. We talk about illustrators being the way you punctuate what you think. This is a classic Trump illustrator. He does this all the time. But when he starts talking about something coming from the sky, he does this. He illustrates with his whole body, looks up. When Tom starts to speak, he does a regulator. Remember I said that's where you control a conversation by saying, hold on. And then as he moves up, everything he does, that clearing the table move, it's all demonstrating what he saw. I'm almost positive he watched this play out because I see him doing up left eye accessing when he's describing how it worked. When he says nothing worked, including humans, you see Trump's eyes go back over there. And then his voice is more animated. He bounces a couple of times. This is excitement and energy at what he saw. It's beautiful.
Is it hard for you to read a guy like Trump where you see this same movement all the time? You know, it's something he does all the time.
Well, that's for him, though. That's baseline. It's what he does when he's just talking. And when he really gets to something important to him, he does change his hands and does structure. See that in a house on the base? Yeah. He's punctuating. Yeah. This is excitement for him, much different than what we see with the cymbal playing or whatever you want to call it, accordion.
There's no doubt about it in my mind. He is the commander-in-chief at heart, and he's so proud of all this technology and his man, and you can kind of see it there that he's proud of that. John Thune now. Boy, I've got some issues with him. He defends the SAVE Act, but then he's also telling us how we got a lot of work to do and we may not be able to get to it. Roll cut 4.
Taken a hard position that it's okay. Now, the law already prevents that, but if that's true, then why wouldn't we want to put into law something that would require when you go to vote that you prove you're a United States citizen? And that's all the SAVE Act does. And so, you know, they can cry and lament this actually being voted on.
Take it away, Greg.
Yeah, really good, clear alignment. Words, clear, consistent cadence, telling with a down tone as he talks. There's an uplift as he asks why. He uses his hands and his face to illustrate telling the message. Low blink rate and great eye contact. This is him telling you what he's going to do. Looks good.
Okay. All right, let's play the next one.
I would just remind people that the coin in the realm in the Senate is floor time. There's a finite amount of it, and we have a lot of things we have to do. There's a housing bill that's awaiting action, hopefully a market structure bill, possibly permitting reform, farm bill, highway bill. You can go right down the list.
Greg, part of the thing that's hard for me with these segments is I try to hold back commentary because I want to talk body language for everybody out there. None of it means anything unless we have a free, safe, and fair election. But back to body language. Greg,
well,
what do you see?
100% agree with you. Look, it has to be free, safe, and fair. And I agree with you there.
Yeah.
If we look at this, now you can see that something's changed. He's searching the floor for change, as I usually say, with his eyes. He's looking down left for the right words to say. There's some emotion. He anchors to other people around him as he mentions certain things. He's all over the place for the right words. This is something's going on behind the scenes. There's probably been discussion, as you well know this. You don't make your own decisions at some point in politics. You make decisions with other people. So it's probably he's been pushed to this point. And if you see there's his blink rate increases when he starts to talk about Russia approval, he raises his brow. Altogether different from the telling he was doing before. All this is probably likely to exactly how you feel, and he knows you're going to feel that way.
You know, it's amazing because when you say all these things, it makes so much sense about what I warned people about the deep state operating, these career bureaucrats. Who's behind it all that want to buck President Trump? And what, Greg, you uncover here on this is that somebody's putting pressure on it, and it's not coming from the White House here. Agreed?
Yeah, one of the most terrifying things I ever heard was when Baker stepped down as Bush's chief of staff, and they asked him, what did you learn? And he said, we don't need a president. The government would run itself. That's terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying.
100%. Government's bad enough, much less bureaucrats totally running the helm without a guy like Trump running it. Greg Hartley, it's always great to see you. I'm going to tell people how they can find you, and thanks for coming on. Here you go. Remember, you got it. Remember to check out Greg's website, readbodylanguage.com. That's readbodylanguage.com, and his YouTube show, The Behavior Panel. All right, with the nomination of Kevin Warsh for Fed chair, how has this affected the markets? Well, I'll tell you, today was a very, very good day. And what about gold? Gold's been surprising, and Bitcoin too. We'll talk about it next.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through Rav. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
My name is Dee Dee, and I live in Florida. I love Real America's Voice. They truly speak for the people, and that's what real patriotism is all about.
Hey guys, my name is Jeff. I'm from Massachusetts. I love Rav because of the free speech and the political wranglings that go on in the chat every day.
This is a monumental moment in American culture. This Sunday, Real America's Voice and Real America's Music come together to do what the mainstream industry won't. Take the music back. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, we go live with exclusive free coverage of the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show, a patriotic alternative. For years, the left has weaponized the music industry, using it to push politics, erase values, and divide the country. That ends now. This all-American halftime show exists to celebrate American pride, traditional values, and artists who still stand with the heartland. Featuring Kid Rock, Bradley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett. Artists who connect with real Americans. Join us live for coverage that turns the music industry on its head. Real America's Voice, Real America's Music, the TPUSA All-American Halftime Show.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I can't wait to watch that. That's going to be fabulous during the Super Bowl. I'm not watching Bad Bunny, that's for sure. Here's a tribute to Real America's Voice. We have so much access with this president. The president addressed the media on with reporters on Air Force One. It's audio only, but I thought we'd play it for you here tonight, just fresh in to the RAV headquarters.
Good talks today having to do with Russia, Ukraine. Something could be happening. We likewise had very good talks on Iran. Iran looks like it wants to make a deal very badly. We have to see what that deal is. But I think Iran looks like they want to make a deal very badly, as they should. Last time they decided maybe not to do it, but I think they probably feel differently. We'll see what the deal is. It'll be different than last time. And we have a big armada. We have a big fleet heading in that direction. Going to be there pretty soon. So we'll see how that works out. The stock market, as you know, broke a number that they thought was going to be impossible to break. Certainly during my first year, they said if you could do it in your fourth year, by the fourth year, we broke 50,000 on the Dow. Most people thought that was not possible to do so quickly. We did it in the first year. So we're about 3 years ahead of schedule. It's going good. Prices are way down. You don't hear the Democrats talking about affordability anymore, which they caused the affordability problem very badly. But you don't hear that word. I haven't heard that word spoken in a week and a half because they can't speak because the prices are down. Energy's down. If you look at oil, if you look at gasoline, a gallon of gasoline in Iowa, I was there last week, was $1.85, $1.89, and $1.99 at 3 different stations, and it's that way in a lot of places. So gasoline is way down, energy's down, groceries are down. We've broken the Biden disaster, the mess that I inherited. The border is extremely secure, more so than it's ever been. We've got 9 months with 0 people coming in illegally, and I think the immigration problem we're doing very well. And crime is at a record low for 125 years. It was just announced. Lowest has been since 1900. That's pretty good. That's a long time. So, do you have any questions, John?
Mr. President, social media post that you took down earlier today, the White House says that a staffer sent it. Who sent it, and are you going to fire them?
I looked at it. I saw it, and I just looked at the first part. It was about voter fraud in someplace, Georgia. There was a lot of voter fraud, 2020 voter fraud, and I didn't see the whole thing. I guess during the end of it, there was some kind of a that people don't like. I wouldn't like it either, but I didn't see it. I looked at the first part, and it was really about voter fraud in and the machines, how crooked it is, how disgusting it is. Then I gave it to the people. Generally, they look at the whole thing, but I guess somebody didn't, and they posted, and we took it down, and we did it. You know, but that was a voter fraud that nobody talks about. They don't like to talk about that post. We took it down as soon as we found out about it.
Mr. President, a number of Republicans are calling on you to apologize for that post. Is that something you're going to do?
No, I didn't make a mistake. I mean, I look at a lot of thousands of things, and I looked at the beginning of it. It was fine. And they had that one post, and I guess it was a takeoff. By the way, a lot of people covered. If you look at where it came from, I guess it was a takeoff on the Lion King. And certainly it was a very strong post in terms of voter fraud. Nobody knew that was at the end. If they would have looked, they would have seen it. And probably they would have had the sense to take it down. But that was a takeoff on the Lion King. And a lot of people were covered on in different positions. So, but I spoke to Tim Scott. He was great. Tim is a great guy. He understood that 100%. Go ahead.
Mr. President, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner met with Iran's foreign minister today. You also had Brad Cooper there, the head of CENTCOM. A deal doesn't look like it's been reached yet. How long are you willing to wait?
It can be reached. Well, you have to get in position. We have plenty of time. If you remember Venezuela, we waited around for a while, and we're in no rush. We have, very good talks going with Iran. We have very good talks going with Russia and Ukraine. We're doing a lot of good talking, and I think we had the results today were with Iran. It was a meeting. We're going to meet again early next week, and they want to make a deal. Iran, as they should, want to make a deal. They know the consequences if they don't. If they don't make a deal, the consequences are very steep. So we'll see what happens. But they had a very good meeting with a very high representative of Iran, and we'll see how it all turns out.
Civil human rights groups
see that. By the way, I'd love to see that. If we could do that, I'd love to see it.
Mr. President, Iran, is a deal that is acceptable that only covers with Iran? Is there a deal that only covers nuclear that would be acceptable to you? Because they just want to have nuclear. They don't want to have anything else.
Like that would be acceptable, but the one thing, and right up front, no nuclear weapons. If we could have made that deal 2 years ago, we would have made that deal, but they weren't willing to do that. Now they are willing to do it. So they're willing to do much more than they would have a year and a half ago, or even a year ago when don't forget, we've only been doing this for exactly 1 year. And we started with them a few months after the beginning of this term. This term has been amazing. But the results could surprise people. If they would have offered this deal originally when we first started, it would have been accepted immediately. We'll see what happens now.
Mr. President, a number of people in the MAGA base say they aren't satisfied with the administration just focusing on deporting violent criminals.
Who are you with?
I'm Natalie Ellison with the Washington Post.
Washington, but you're having a hard time getting readers. Washington Post is doing very poorly. Go ahead. You have a very bad attitude. Go ahead.
Well, a number of people in your base say that they want to see all illegal immigrants deported, even ones who are otherwise
non-violent. Let me tell you about my base. My base has never been stronger. My base is me and other very good people that love our country. And if you talk about my base or the MAGA base, you could call it a lot of America First base. They couldn't be more thrilled. We have crime down to the lowest level that it's been in 125 years. We have a border that's totally closed. We have all the things that our base wanted, and we have the best economy in history. Prices are down. We inherited very high prices and the highest inflation in the history of our country. Think of it, the highest, or 48 years. Some people say 48 years, but I'll take either one. So my base is very happy.
But would you support mass deportations of people who are otherwise law-abiding?
I want to see everybody, but we're focusing on the criminals. We're focusing on killers. But ultimately, they all broke the law. Some can, if they do it in a certain way, they can go out, they can come back if they do it properly. But as you know, a lot of people have been deported, a lot. But the focus is on the murderers, the drug dealers. We have many people mentally insane. They dumped everything in our country. But ultimately, yeah, it's exactly as I said during the campaign. Yeah.
Mr. President, can you set the record straight? There were reports circulating that you told Chuck Schumer that in order to restore funding for the Gateway train tunnel in New York, New Jersey, you would want Penn Station and Dulles Airport to be named after you. Is that true?
He suggested that to me. Chuck Schumer suggested that to me about